Some hauntings don't feel like stories. They feel like memories you wish you could forget. These are 4 encounters you'll wish were fiction, but might not be. Story 1. The guest room. When Laura's aunt passed away, she left her a quiet Victorian house in a sleepy coastal town. The neighbors said it was a blessing. Laura saw it as a fresh start. For weeks, she lived in peace, savoring the smell of sea air through the open windows. It started small, a faint creak from the upstairs hallway when she was downstairs, the sound of a door clicking shut, though she was certain she'd left it open. She dismissed it as the house settling. Then one evening Laura went to change the sheets in the guest room. She paused in the doorway. The bed was already made, tucked perfectly as if by hotel staff. She never used this room. She pulled back the quilt. The sheets beneath were warm. From that night on, the noises grew. Slow, deliberate footsteps across the ceiling above her bedroom. The sound of someone humming, a low, tuneless hum in the empty kitchen. Once, she found the guest room window open in the morning, curtains swaying in the salt breeze. She remembered locking it. Laura decided she'd had enough. She locked the guest room door and shoved a chair under the knob. For 2 nights, the house was quiet. On the 3rd night, she woke to a soft knock. 3 times, right above her headboard. She stared at the ceiling, frozen. The next morning, the guest room door stood open. The chair was still in place, but the wood around the lock had splintered outward. On the bed lay an old yellowed note in unfamiliar handwriting. "I've made up the room for you. You'll be staying longer this time." Story 2. The reflection. Ethan was helping his grandmother clear out her attic when he found an ornate, dust-caked mirror leaning against the wall. Its frame was carved with curling vines, and the glass, though warped, was still intact. His grandmother waved it off. "Take it if you want. I don't like looking at it." He set it up in his apartment hallway. At first it seemed like a charming vintage piece, but he began to notice strange details. His reflection lagged, just by a fraction of a second. Sometimes, when he turned away, he could swear the reflection's eyes still faced forward. One night, coming home late, he passed the mirror and saw himself smiling faintly, except he wasn't. The reflection's mouth curled higher, almost unnaturally wide, before fading back to match him. He blamed exhaustion. Over the next week, the reflection's behavior worsened. It would tilt its head in ways he didn't, or keep moving after he'd stopped. Ethan tried covering the mirror with a sheet, but every morning the fabric would be on the floor. Then came the night he woke to find the mirror glowing faintly in the dark hallway. His reflection stood in the center, unmoving, its face expressionless. Ethan approached cautiously. The reflection suddenly pressed both hands against the glass. His own arms stayed at his sides. The surface rippled like water. The hands pushed harder. Ethan stepped back just as one pale, cold fingertip broke through. The next day, the mirror was gone. His front door was still locked. But that night, he caught a faint glimmer in the black of his bedroom TV screen. The same expressionless face, watching from the other side. Story 3. Down the well in the woods behind Marcus's childhood home sat an old stone well, sealed with a heavy wooden lid. His parents had warned him never to go near it. They said it was dangerous. The boards were rotting, the walls unstable. Years later, visiting as an adult, Marcus found himself drawn to it. The lid was gone. He peered over the edge, nothing but blackness. Then he heard it, a faint whisper. It was too soft to make out, but it sounded like his name. The next evening, he returned with a flashlight. The beam didn't reach the bottom. Still, the whisper came again, louder. It was definitely his name, now drawn out, as if coaxing him closer. He began to dream about the well, standing beside it, leaning in, something cold brushing his face. In the dreams, he always woke before falling. On his last night in town, Marcus decided to drop a small rock down to measure the depth. He leaned forward, holding the stone over the opening. The whispering grew frantic. His fingers felt wet. He jerked back. Something pale was reaching up from the darkness, long, thin fingers tipped with nails like splinters. They scraped the stone rim as they retreated. When Marcus ran for the house, he heard the boards behind him creak as if something had climbed out. Story 4. Room 6. Kayla was traveling cross-country when she stopped at a small roadside motel. The owner gave her a key to room 6 and told her breakfast was at 7. The place was almost empty. She settled in and unpacked. The TV barely worked, but the bed was comfortable. She was about to fall asleep when she heard movement in the room next door. A dragging sound, followed by a dull thud, then silence. The next morning, she mentioned it to the owner. He looked puzzled. "You were the only guest last night." That evening, the noises returned. Dragging, thumping, a faint murmur through the wall. Kayla pressed her ear against it. The murmuring stopped. She thought she heard slow breathing on the other side. Curious, she stepped outside to check. The door to room 7 was padlocked. That night, the sounds were worse. She could hear something pacing, scraping along the shared wall. Then, without warning, her doorknob began to turn. Slowly, then violently. Kayla grabbed her phone, but there was no signal. She pressed her back against the door. The knob stopped. Silence. She exhaled. then turned to find the bathroom door behind her standing wide open. She had locked it earlier. Inside, wet footprints led from the shower to the wall she shared with room 7. The next morning, room 7's door stood open. The air smelled of mildew and something coppery. The bed was soaked dark, and on the wall scrawled in dripping letters, "Room 6 is next." If you think these are just stories, tell yourself that the next time you're alone and something knocks, drags, or whispers your name in the dark. And if you want more chilling tales like these, subscribe now, before you forget what's waiting in the dark.